Miss Whitney, look what I got on.
Hey, hey.
Can you see my shirt?
Oh, snap. Is that Embry Riddle? I love it.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, I still have a bunch of the polos, right? And I just use them to golf now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I wore it today. I've got a couple of them. But Jill. Who is Jill? Jill? Where are you coming from, Jill?
Dennis, really?
It
I'm
says
Cindy.
says Jill.
Yep, that's me.
Oh, okay.
I told Cindy I would hop on here this evening.
Well, good. We're glad you're here. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Cindy, are you there? Cindy Nicodam, are you there? I don't know where Cindy is. Okay. Oh, there she is. She's waving. She's muted. So, okay, we can't hear you. Um, that's okay. I was just going to tell you to correct me when I say something wrong. Right? But if she can't talk, then hopefully I don't blow it, right? But anyway, welcome to the 2025 Robot Drone League Judges Guide, Judges Meeting, Judges Training Session. Letting a few other people in. Good. Heather's here. Save the day. I'm gonna let Heather run the show for judges training. Now, this is actually going to be a pretty quick um, session. If you've read the judges guide and you've been to at least one RDL competition, whether it's junior or the middle school or high schoolers, then you're very qualified to be a judge. It's my favorite thing to do at a competition because it's just to me it's just a chance to really interact with the kids in a little bit less of a stressful way, if you will. The kids might be a little stressed out because they're talking to a judge, right? And they want to perform their best and all that. But it gives you the chance to really see all the authentic work that's been going on for 3 months in the course of 8 minutes. That's how fast and furious it goes. But it's also a challenge to we're lucky that we have a lot of qualified volunteers that have had experience with robotics events, and they've been with us for at least 2 or 3 years minimum. So when you get to the competition, it's really cool because these guys know exactly what to do. But today, what we're going to do is we're just going to go through the judge's guide step by step, and then we'll open it up for discussion and questions. I'm really grateful that our RDL Junior Director is here today, Cindy Nicodam. And then also we have a couple of our regional organizers, coordinators, our rocks from both senior and junior here. So that's awesome. They can help answer some questions too. And feel free to input, raise your hands, click the unmute button and say timeout, Dennis. What was this? What do you mean by the judges should write constructive criticism? Or what do you mean by the judges should not put their full name and address and their phone number down, right? Not to be scared or anything, but we don't advise that, right? Because there can be some coaches in there that get pretty passionate, and you just let me or one of the regional coordinators, if you see any of that coming, just normally we don't see a whole lot of that, but it's possible. Okay, so because the kids work hard, and some especially some of our new coaches, they actually just don't understand how the scoring rubrics work, maybe. So we just have to do a little bit of education, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Can you guys see my screen? Give me a thumbs up, Heather, if you can see my judge's guide. Cool. All right, so this is based on Moonbase. So we tried to rewrite, with the help of Cindy and some of our other folks that really help us organize the competitions year after year. It's getting better and better, and a lot of that is due to the help that we have, the smart people that I surround myself with, because in biblical times they talk about, hey, if you want to be a fool, surround yourself with five fools, right? But if you want to be a wise man, surround yourself with five wise men. So I'm trying to surround myself with a bunch of millionaires right now. We're going to see how that works out, right? All right, but we do have some really good people. Dr. Steve Wright, who is one of our instructors, content creator, and review of documentation. Ned Voorhees, who is just a robotics guru. Miss Cindy Nicodem, who you met here. Wendy Courtney, my other half, my better half, who does a lot of our curriculum alignment. Dr. Subhashini Vashith, who is Eastman Chemical Company PhD, also our RDL Nationals head judge. And then Mr. John Lee, who actually participated as a RDL coach representative in our judges review committee this past season. Next season, Cindy and I have been talking about some good ideas, best practices too, is to do the same thing for RDL Junior, is to bring in a couple of coaches. We like to get the feedback and the input from our teams to see exactly what it is we did good, what needs maybe a little bit of editing, maybe a little bit of, customization, if you will. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We'll let Cindy know. She'll be more than happy to talk with you and schedule a few meetings. Because again, as a coach, your input is valuable. Cindy was a former coach for RDL team, so she's done it all. She's done RDL Junior, and so she's very, very knowledgeable in both aspects of both coaching and the actual RDL Junior and RDL leagues in themselves. But looking at this year's challenge and also looking at your table of contents, you can kind of go through there and find things easily. Again, it would be beneficial especially if you're a new judge and you're not familiar with all the awards. Just go through there and look and see how they're based, right? But this year's STEM challenge, is based on Artemis. NASA's going back to the moon eventually. First, we got to worry about getting the government open again. Hopefully that happens soon. I know it's bogging a lot of folks down, right? But we're excited. I think they're scheduled to do Artemis 2 in February. And so what that mission will be is just a flight around the moon. If you remember back in, oh gosh, was it 1965 or whenever, the astronauts actually flew around the moon on Christmas Eve, and the whole country just kind of paused, and just it was a pretty cool Christmas gift. And so I'm excited that we'll be going back, and it'll be something really cool with just to have an opportunity to witness it again, going back to the moon, because then once we go back and we land back on the surface of the lunar landscape, we're going to stay there. We're not leaving. And so that's going to be pretty exceptional. Plus the challenges that are STEM based, and who knows, one of those eighth graders sitting in class right now that's on the RDL team could very well find themselves in an Apollo or a Artemis NASA capsule, or maybe they work for NASA. All things are possible. We've got some folks that are really that I would never have imagined in my wildest dreams that the likes of Michaela Freeman would have gone off to the U.S. Air Force Academy and became a pilot, right? I mean, she was one of the original RDL interns. And so, we've had a lot of cool kids that did a lot of really amazing things. They're at MIT. So anything's possible. We're I wish I would have been an astronaut, but hey, the next best wish I could get right now, and I'm going to wait for 3 shooting stars like we see at 5 a.m. every morning when my wife and I are walking. Yeah, we're crazy, right? We do a 5 a.m. walk, and we see shooting stars all the time. Plus, you see satellites. Um, but one of the things that I really hope for our next generation is to seek space exploration. And until then, Robot Drone League Moonbase is what we're going to go with for this season's challenge. So, looking at the challenge overview, just solving some really tough, complex problems. RDL is a tough challenge in itself. It's unlike other robotics uh, initiatives. It's kind of different. There's a quick reference score sheet here for you, just to kind of look at some of the different aspects of the competition. And I would encourage you as a judge, yeah, you're going to be tasked to do some really cool things like look at engineering notebooks, look at some showcase videos. But I want you to get out on the field and take a look at the team, see how they're interacting with each other. A lot of that's based on the scoring rubrics too. Hey, what kind of teamwork, what kind of communication did they have? What kind of critical problem solving skills were they demonstrating at the drive station? And understanding how the game works would be important for you because otherwise it'll look really confusing. So take a few moments to review the animation at robotdroneling.com and then also refer to these quick scoring guides, which we did that for you so that you wouldn't have to get into the scoring sheet because it could really get complicated. If you have other questions about that, ask one of us. Cindy's really good at scoring.
Apparently there's a blue
Hello?
trash can out in the brown building.
Hello.
It's been out there
Somebody.
for a while.
Let's see who's out there talking. Let's see. Let me mute. Let's see. I'm mute. There we go. Now we muted Mark.
I got him.
Mark.
That's Mr. Long.
Hey, Mr. Long. How are you, sir? We're glad you're here. All right. All right. So looking at a couple different things, we got the biosphere modules, which I know Cindy and her crew, they've been working on those. The robots will have to place those onto the simulated surface, right? And they're connected by magnets. They also have to connect a power cable and a communications cable to it in order to get their full points. Satellite alignment, they'll be given a task where they'll have to determine the azimuth angle of the satellite dish in order to establish proper communication with the Lunar Gateway spacecraft. So again, this is big STEM stuff, right? So we don't sugarcoat it. We want these kids working, and they're going to work hard. But you know what? The cool thing is they're going to have fun. The one thing I always love to get good feedback on is, what did you observe on competition day? And some of the things that I hear most frequently is, I've never seen these kids so engaged. They love RDLs, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the number one that really surprised me was, I don't see any of my kids on the cell phones, right? And I thought that was quite exceptional. For the whole day. I mean, most adults can't even stay off of a cell phone for a whole day, right? But anyway, you go through here and you kind of see how the points are lined up, site markers or something for every task and every piece of equipment, primarily speaking about the robot and the drone. We very carefully craft these tasks up so that because these are 1 minute autonomous periods, and then there's followed by a 9 minute teleop period. So in order to engage 4 to 6 team members is what you'll have at the drive station per team, per alliance. It could be 12 kids on one side of the field. So there's a lot going on. And just so that as a judge, kind of what to look for. On any given team, 4 to 6, that's the recommended number. We've seen competitions where only 2 kids were just kicking butt, man. They were just going at it. They were driving the robot. They were flying the drone, answering STEM questions, just doing all of it in those 10 minutes. But then we've also seen it where the 6 kids, so you got a robot driver, you got a person that's helping him. They might be manipulating the claw on the robot. Then you got a drone pilot who might also have a drone observer, which is real world stuff. And then you probably have like a CEO or your captain, if you will. And then we also always recommend us, because one thing that STEM or the RDL has, the component that we've never deviated from, that I insisted that we always have in our challenges, is the STEM questions to correlate with what we're trying to, and we try to give it that connection to the actual theme. So look for this year's theme being lunar gate, the lunar spacecraft model, NASA, earth science, space exploration, that kind of stuff. So look for those type of STEM questions. Crater mining and cavern exploration. I can tell you, I don't know if we have any of our interns from Streamworks here, but they have put a lot of work into creating these tasks, especially the craters. I'll give you a description of what they look like. I've never seen one in person myself, but we helped design it. And what it is it's a tire tube that's partially inflated, and then it's got a buildup on the inside of the inner diameter of the tube that comes up about 3 inches, and it's basically the more foam mats that help build it up. And inside that crater are the ice game elements and the lunar rocks, the moon rocks. And there's a reason why we picked ice and rocks, right? Because that's exactly what NASA is going to go and do. They're going to mine, because from water, what can we create from water? From ice. We can create, obviously, water. We can also create oxygen. And did you know that we could also create rocket fuel? So those are some of the cool science pieces that we want to put into place, not to mention all the precious minerals that we might be able to find in the rock on the lunar surface. So again, those will follow up with some STEM questions regarding minerals, drills. There's actually a space drill. It's 3D printed, so the teams they'll get credit if they're able to launch a what is it called? What's it called, Cindy? The spectrometer, mass spectrometer, which basically is used in real world science to analyze different chemicals and gases. So we want to put those into the crater so that scientists, the RDL teams, the roboticists, can explore what's in there. Those drills or space drills, that's actually a NASA design that they will implement onto the moon when they go in there and they start mining for precious materials. All right, talking about the Lunar Gateway spacecraft, this thing is crazy. It was designed by a professional model builder, Dr. Steve Wright, and this thing has landing platforms on it. Him and his team of interns did an amazing job using LiDAR sensors that will actually eliminate when the drone hovers for a certain distance in a certain period over there, which also not only will it eliminate, it'll activate the emergency pods, which are ping pong balls that come out of a dispenser underneath the Lunar Gateway spacecraft. So if you refer to the animation, you'll see that it kind of happens fast, but that's what's happening. The goal is for those emergency supplies, which represent water and first aid kits, is to drop onto the lunar surface and to be retrieved by either the robot or the drone, and then be taken to the habitat modules so that the astronauts and the humans will be able to survive. That's kind of the gamification on that. Also, the other part that we really try hard to implement into our games is, what are the standards for the CTE world nowadays? We're talking to a lot of folks about cybersecurity. Obviously, look at what's happening around the world in cybersecurity and the need for more cybersecurity specialists and CS and information technologists. So there's always going to be some kind of challenge for encryption, cybersecurity, etc. Some coding. Again, going back to our autonomous period, that first 1 minute of the competition is completely about coding. We want to see the kids really stretching their coding knowledge in today's world of ChatGPT. I mean, you can just enter it in there and it'll spit the code out for you. However, what we want to, and we want to encourage the use of AI at RDL because we know they're going to do it anyway. But what we want to do is encourage them to tell us how they used it, so that the gain is got an ethical connection there, and that they're learning the ethical way to do it and to share that knowledge. We talked about STEM questions a little bit and et cetera. So let that's a fun, that's always, and you know what, it's a match breaker too, because some of these kids and robots and drones, if they go at it, they'll get a gazillion points, but then they'll get beat out. And the one determining factor was those extra STEM questions that the teams took the time to answer. The end game this year is going to be interesting because we felt like we wanted to do something a little bit different. So we call it the end game flag. It's unfurling. So once a team accomplishes, or once an alliance accomplishes all 7 tasks, their flag will unfurl. And the flags are located underneath the Lunar Gateway spacecraft. So that will be really cool to see. I think there'll be a lot of hooping and hollering on that one. We always with the end in mind, the reaction from the kids, the reaction from the audience, mom and dad and grandma and whoever are in the stands just cheering, and we hear Blue Alliance, shouting, and Red Alliance. And that's all a part of the excitement and the enthusiasm for this day. Because again, when we talk about the judging role in RDL, I want you to know that it is about the culmination of 2 to 3 months of hard work that some of these kids are put in. This might be their 4th or 5th season, especially if they're in middle school and they continued in high school. But some of these kids are coming in for the first time, and they don't know the difference between a flush cutter and a Phillips screwdriver. And they're learning, right? They're learning a lot about coding and robotics and tank drive and tank mode and what's some other stuff out there. Just thinking off the cuff, some omnidirectional wheels, some strafing, and maybe their teacher went through one of our advanced courses this past summer, which I think we had a total of about 15 educators from around the United States that came through the course. A lot of them were affiliated with the JROTC program in the U.S. Army. And a lot of these teachers had never touched a robot a day in their life. But they come out of that 1-week course and now they're bona fide roboticists. And it's really cool to see that progression too, because now what we're seeing, they took those robots back into their classroom, and then they got a fresh kit. Now their kids are building that same platform, and the teachers are now the instructors, the students are now the teachers rather. But when it comes to judging, this is one of the probably the most vital roles in recognizing student achievements during the RDL competitions. And basically, you're doing the evaluation. You're going to look at, again, the engineering notebooks, team interactions, looking at giving the rubrics. And this is a day that we want to spend, again, celebrating the kids. So, yeah, you're probably going to see some new teams there that are rookies. They're inexperienced. And what we want to do is give them the best foot forward. And how can we help them progress and go to the next level, right? And so a lot of that's going to depend on your input. I said that I'd be very careful about giving your contact information out as a judge, and I say that sincerely. I would. But I'm a whole different deal, right? But what I don't want that to do, and if you're willing to, then great. But I'll let you know, and some of these other judges will let you know. These teachers and these coaches and some of these students will call you, and they will call you, and they will call you. And then they'll call you during dinner, and they'll call you at church, and they'll call you on Saturdays. All right. So just know that. Be prepared if you do that. But I think probably the better practice, my recommendation is to put it in writing, and offer up an email address. Those will always work. But to give them some feedback, that's really got some teeth to it, and not negative, but constructive, and make it, if something needs to be said, don't be shy, obviously, but also there's always a way to construct it. And then come ask us. Your regional coordinators are experts. They are trusted educators, at the collegiate level, and the high school level. They've been doing robotics for a while. So please rely on their expertise too if you have any questions as far as making comments, and how to score a rubric. And you're going to see some teams that come in and maybe they just didn't know and they missed it, and it's important to point that out to them because, again, we want to see them progress and we want to see them be competitive. That's all a part of the fun, right? It's one thing that I can say about RDL and RDL Junior, we really work hard to make sure that the kids are doing some cross-pollination, right, with knowledge. We want to see coaches do the same thing, get some help from another coach, from another team. If you're missing a part, go ask for some help. Or if you see another team struggling, go offer some help. And as a judge, I'm looking for that too, because that goes into our Professor's Award, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But but at the same time, the spirit of competition, I don't want that to get lost. I want the coaches and the students to understand that it's okay to help each other, but when it comes time to put it on that field, it's about competition, right? And we want them to bring their best A game, because that's the workforce. That's what we expect in the workplace. Is we expect professionalism, the gracious professionalism is what we refer to it as our dear friend Woody Flowers, Dr. Woody Flowers, used to say. So continuing on, this recording is required. I know, God bless you for listening to me for half an hour, but it's really important that you understand what we're trying to accomplish here. And we just want you to be prepared on competition day. So we're going to try to feed you and spoil you. You might get a Chick-fil-A sandwich. You might get a biscuit. Don't hesitate to ask for something, right? So you're going to be, one thing I guarantee all of our volunteers throughout the season is on competition day. One thing is guaranteed, you'll get the best night of sleep you ever had in your life, because you'll be so tired. And it is worth it. It's a lot of fun, but it can be exhausting. So make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you eat some snacks. We'll try to have all kinds of little snacks and all that good stuff there for you. Don't worry about bringing anything. If you want to bring your laptop, great. I can't guarantee there will be Wi-Fi there, but please do. We'll have all your rubric packets and notebooks and some pens, and and also, if you want a copy of this, feel free to print that off on the day of. There should be a copy with the regional coordinators. They should have all this information located in their binders and near the officials table. Important to mention for judges, we will have you sequestered in your own room, away from the volunteers, away from the kids, and a place for you guys to go and have those conversations, because sometimes those need to be held in confidence. I mean, you're talking about the ranking system, right? You're talking about how number 1, 2, 3, it might be 20 teams up there and nobody wants to be number 20, but somebody has to be, right? So we just need to be cognizant of having those discussions and who we're having them around, and just to be sensitive to that. You will get some reserved seating. We're going to treat you like royalty. So when you hear your name, you get up and do the queen wave like Heather does. Heather, can we get a queen's wave out of you? There you go. And then, a couple little points to make about the judging process in the rooms. It might be impossible. Matter of fact, we've already tried this, and it is impossible to get every team in front of you that day. That is the whole reason why we do the showcase videos, because a couple of you are going to review those during the day. Not every team is going to submit, but the teams that do, they're worth watching. They're 5 to 7 minutes in length, and you got a scoring rubric that you'll just go and you'll jot down their notes, and you give them some feedback again. hey, this looked really cool. Or, hey, you kind of missed this on the rubric, but maybe next time, right? And also you can also, if they advance to the nationals, they're welcome to resubmit and redo their showcase video. Same thing for their engineering notebook. We'll have a couple judges that are dedicated to reviewing the engineering notebook, again, going with the rubric, looking for those specifics that are outlined in the rubric. As you go through, I think it's important to mention that, you know what, there might be, and what I've seen at competition, and please feel free to weigh in, anyone, is that you know who the top 3 teams are going to be just based on their engineering notebook. They submitted a video, and just from their current competition scores and the way that they're conducting themselves at their pits, they're helpful, they're helping everybody else, there's teamwork, they've got a mascot, whatever, what the top 3 teams are. So if you get into a situation where maybe 1, 2, or maybe even 3 teams are so close together in scoring in any awards category, feel free to bring that team back to the judges' room for a 5 or 10 minute interview, right? And we'll work that out, but we got to look at their schedule because, again, we run 10-minute matches. So it's really, really a tight day. We try to get everyone out no later than 4 o'clock. And a lot of that's because of weather, light, sometimes up north, it could be, the roads could be a little iffy. So we want to make sure that all school
We lose him?
Yeah, I'm sending him a text.
Okay. Thought it was just
Maybe
me for a minute.
I messaged Jill. I said, did he just freeze? Because sometimes his Chromebook, will mess up. So looks like he left. He must have realized it. Maybe he's coming back in. So, well, good thing, Heather. Looks like all the Lee County judges in your group is on here. So they are. Freddie told me he still might be in at church Sunday. So he's
I actually, I know Dennis was talking about he's not going to pull the teams to talk to the judges, but we actually have room set aside for that, and we're going to try to run. So I guess, Cindy, the big question I have, when's the earliest we'll get a schedule? I know it won't be necessarily the exact schedule because we don't know until they check in, but will we have a pretty good schedule to know how the match is going to run, assuming everybody checks in? Yeah. That way we can go ahead and have them pulled, and we'll just have to roll with it that day. Judges will have to know that we'll roll with it. But I'm just planning because it's just so hard to go and find those teams during the competition,
right? And
here in that space. So we've set aside 2 rooms, fairly close to the action, but far enough away they can hear and be separate. And we're gonna do. We're gonna have I think we have enough judges to split them up to do 2 and 2, so that it will go quicker.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell Mr. Long, and which I know Jill can't be there for this, but she may be helping at nationals or whatever. You won't have to do. We have 19 teams right now for UVA-wise, so hopefully we have 4 of you all, 2 and 2, and you'll split up. So Dennis, you're back. We said we must have lost him.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
And that's okay. I was probably getting a little long-winded anyway. I was I was actually trying to wrap it up. I don't even think, you know what? You guys have the awards there. I'll just review those quickly. Or Cindy, did you already do it, Cindy?
She was talking about pulling, she actually does have a room. And if we can, once the schedule's made for UVA wise, then we'll kind of know which teams we can pull in there for just a few minutes for the judges, so they don't have to go around to the tables. But now all
Love to
the,
hear that
Mr.
space, so-
Long, yeah, Mr. Long and all the judges that, we have rounded up for UVA wise. I had already shared the rubrics and your judges thing with them and the videos. So, so they have all that. Yeah.
I just, you I'm used to trying to wrangle everything in,
Yeah.
by myself. So I'm going to let Heather make those calls just because she is the extraordinary organizer, rock star that she is. And if we can get them all in there in front of the judges, great. I love it. I'd love to help out with judging if I could. That's kind of one of my favorite things to do. And it's a little bit, anyway, it's fun for me. I enjoy that part.
So when do you think you'll make the schedule by, since we
Well,
know the teams?
you can, I'll give you an example.
Can I look at your Army one and go by that you
Yeah,
shared?
you can look at the Army one.
Okay.
And I did not make that.
Oh, okay.
But
Because I'm
they are
not familiar with the setup really for the RDL.
well, they're figuring out what the big the big watch outs are. We want to make sure that every team gets their fair amount on the field, which
Yeah.
normally 7 to 8 plays for the day, and that includes everything, right? So that's important right there, because when we make the schedule, depending on the number of teams that are actually entering into the competition, will determine how it all lays out, right? So we just need to watch that. And yeah, you can look at the Army one. You guys can schedule away, and but again, my recommendation is I think the latest we've ever gotten out of there was like a 7 o'clock at night, and that was because of a 2-hour snow delay, and that was at ETSU, and I never want to have to ever go through that again. That was miserable, right? It was miserable for everyone. If you get out at 5 o'clock, it's okay. Everybody's starting to get a little cranky. Everybody's really happy at 4 o'clock if we're doing the high five line, right?
Right.
They're like, man, that wasn't bad at all. Let's go. So that's what we shoot for. And, there's always going to be a little bit of catch up. We can run through lunch if we have to. Sometimes that's not, you might get a little griping back from some of the coaches. Well, how am I going to feed my kids? And we try to work around that. Right. So, but
We have a unique workaround that was presented to me for UVA wise, and I didn't think it was a possibility. Our food service is going to open concessions the day of the event.
Yay.
that's
So,
awesome.
that was
concession
great.
That's
And
awesome.
I was kind of shocked about that. So I don't know what all they'll have. I'm sure they'll have the same things you'd have at a basketball game or whatever here.
Heather,
But
we need to get that out to the teams.
yeah, I
like
was
a
working
menu.
on getting
Yeah.
my, because and I'll send you a map of, we went through and mapped it out today without the junior field. So I had so I have a seating area now. We have bleacher area. We'll have AV already in place. I mean, it's going to be pretty nice. I mean,
Yeah. Cindy, did you get the Army layout for the field house that they have up there? If you
I
didn't
don't
get it,
know
I'll
if
share.
I
I'll share
got that or
it.
not.
Yeah, she just shared it with me last night. But
Oh.
Heather, the Army the field house that they have in Boston it's huge. It's got an indoor track in it, and it reminds me a little bit about the convocation center there at UVA wise. And so the way she has it set up, she's got the practice area, testing area, then the pits on one side and the bleachers, and she's got it all set up really good. And you already know how these things work. So, but getting the concessions there, that's big. That's huge.
That was just presented today. It was like, we can do that for you. That way they don't have to, they can certainly bring things in if they want. Look, I'm going to share with you the map right now that we have.
All right.
Let me see if I can pull this up here.
Can you hear me, Cindy?
Yes.
Okay, I just got your text. It
Yeah,
says I
that
was just frozen. Okay, yeah.
No, that was before when that, but then you ended up going out.
I don't know.
before,
It's a weird Wi-Fi day for some reason. It's I tell you, it's oh, look at this. Yeah, that's cool.
So
It's
we
been a
have,
while since I've been in there.
yeah, so we'll have the field, and this is all got bleacher area that they can have seating in. Concessions up here, that way you're public facing, bathrooms, concessions, and everything's all on one end. And then everybody coming down to the field will come down this east concourse. I have this room booked for judges or volunteers, not sure just yet. Then we have
Can we
this
get-
area.
Can we get a room just for judges?
Yeah, actually, that's one of them. That's room one. I actually have.
Okay,
It's
okay, I
hard.
got
This
you.
map doesn't show it, but there's two more rooms below this seating. So there's
Ah,
tunnels.
okay.
There's tunnels that run behind here that go to
Yeah.
two more big nice rooms back here.
Okay, cool.
We've got all three of those. We've got these two back here, and we have this one here. So it will just depend on how we want to lay it out. Where he's gonna actually put our testing area here. So he's gonna pull this. So we'll have a stanchioned off area for them to test their drones because the ceiling's really good height there.
Okay,
And then they'll have just some seating for teams to come eat, and then
very cool.
get away from the pit areas. So, and then the pit area here, this also includes the safety table. Our nursing department is sending some of our student nurses to help us to kind of be on hand for the day. So that's kind of nice. So if we have any Band-Aid emergencies, pretty much, we're good to go. And then any other extra tables we need there, like our queuing table and, pit admin will be there too.
Okay,
I did not have them at a stage because I didn't want to obscure the field. So we will have
Yeah.
screens on both sides and then just a place for our table for our awards. And then we'll be right here on the floor.
Okay.
It works really well, I think.
perfect.
And we
Perfect.
can drive all the way in there. You can actually back in to out of the weather. So if they want to drive in here, so if it's raining or whatever, they can back in under this staircase here.
Mhm.
They can't go any further
even
than that.
really
but
cool.
it's-
Yeah, no, that's
and they're
perfect.
going to carpet the floor and cover and carpet the whole thing.
Okay.
The only thing we're kind of waiting on is to know when the earliest we can get in. Right now, he says there's a possibility that there's a board meeting, and that could push us back till a little after 2. But I told him, I
Hmm.
said 2 or earlier would be preferable.
Yeah. And that's perfect. Now, will the chancellor be there on Saturday for
I
opening? or-
don't believe so. I think I'm going to
Okay.
double check with her chief of staff. I believe there was a conflict in her schedule, but we will see who
Okay.
of the senior staff. They're all
Okay.
invited. So
Okay, good. Yeah, just make sure I greet them and and thank them.
Yeah.
And also I'll follow up with some letters and get some addresses and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we really appreciate it. It's going to be a sensational event, and I want to applaud you and Cindy for just taking this bull by the horns and helping out. And I mean, this is going to be a really cool, one of the larger regionals. And it's been a long time coming, but it's because of the hard work of this team here, and I appreciate that. And that's going to be a lot less stress on just one or two individuals at Streamworks, which is good. We really appreciate the help, and the model that we're going to is kind of interesting, and it's exciting, and it's even more scary. Is that we need to train up our volunteers and our regionals to basically run with regionals all by themselves and to be
it's very scary.
self-sustaining. It's very scary, isn't it? I mean, to think that we were just in the STEM gym a mere 6 or 7 years ago, and Cindy was in there with a little crew from 5th grade or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And
Mr.
how fun
Long
was
paid,
that?
Mr. Long made that happen. He paid for us to bust them kids over there. That's when we got
Mr.
started.
Long, we
Yes.
appreciate you being here today, and I appreciate you stepping up to the plate to be one of our volunteers on November 8th. And so it'll be good to see you again. I think we've met, right? And once, maybe once or
Once,
twice. Okay. Okay, good. And a lot's happening since then, so I'm excited, and we really appreciate Lee County and Wise County, and I guess Buchanan County is going to be there too. It's going to be a lot of Virginia teams, a lot of Tennessee teams too. I don't know if Mr. Long knows, but we've got a lot of ROTC, U.S. Army interest in RDL, so we're doing a pilot in Boston, Massachusetts this year, and they're bringing in 10 teams, 2 of which are from Germany, and so it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. And they are going, I mean, they're all in on RDL. They're excited. They've been through the training, they've been through the advanced workshop. They're really hyped up on that. They appreciate that little extra push that they get to train their instructors, which, Cindy's been through that. Cindy's helped develop all that. Heather as well. And for this model, when you look at 10 U.S. Army JROTCs that see the need for robots and drones, I mean, the writing's on the wall, right? And it was shared with me, and I don't think it's classified. It might be, but I'm going to tell you guys because I think it's cool. But in the future, every U.S. Army soldier will have a drone issued to them. That's where this is going, right? And so that is, the defense industry, along with regular industry, the people that we serve in K-12 education and post-secondary, it's really important work that we're doing. So I appreciate that and the efforts and the help and being able to assist in regionals and being able to advance your own teams to nationals. We want to move that nationals around. We need to go to Fort Knox, Kentucky. We need to go to Georgia Tech, Atlanta, and Memphis, Tennessee, and elsewhere. I think UVA Wise is a great regional, and man, just the quality of teams, especially as being one of the bigger ones, we're going to see a lot of those kids from that region advance to the nationals, and they're really going to show the world how to do it. So, I can't give enough credit to the team here. Cindy, is there, or Heather, or anyone, question and answer time? Is there anything that I'm not hitting on specific to judging that we need to talk about?
I think you covered. I think just basically looking at those rubrics and being, asked. And if there's any questions, asking. I mean, I think that's really the part. Judging is my favorite part too, because you get to talk to the kids. And if there's things one thing I will say as a judge, if you're looking at the rubric and they're not giving you anything to answer those questions, ask them. Just ask them outright. Sometimes they get a little clammed up, especially when they're in this kind of, because it's not an official presentation, so to speak. So it's not like they have that, like with mate and other competitions where they come in, they have this plan in place, they do their thing, and then they're out. This one's a little different, so it's more of a conversation. So they're not going to start that conversation with you necessarily. So you as a judge have to be a little more proactive and ask questions. But that's the fun part. That's the fun part to be able to.
And you bring up a good point, Heather, that, I mean, we can have the discussion now in the small trusted group. But where this is going, when you talk about MATE, you talk about other robotics competitions like VEC, those are multi-day competitions. And you have a lot more time to do the judging interviews and stuff like that. I can see that happening here because when you get larger numbers of teams, especially at nationals, we do want to hear the kids' stories, right? But I've always just been really worried about the economics behind it, and the cost, because some of these kids can't afford it. And I'm not throwing rocks at any other robotics competition because they all do a really good job of, offering initiatives that are important, right? But our mission has always been about the have-nots, and we want to make sure that they have a representation at these robotics competitions. And sometimes when you look at the others for multi-day competitions, you see more of the, the folks that can afford it, right? And so, anyway. I'll shut up on that note. Cindy's like, oh, be quiet. Don't talk about that.
No. No, I mean, just like, when we got to go to the Worlds, I mean, we had to do a lot of begging, and, that's expensive even.
Yeah, but you were there.
Yeah,
And
it's hard
that's
to
thanks to
do.
that man right there, right? Mr. Long.
He,
So,
oh yeah, he helped with that too. He did.
Just good support.
well, I
He's
know, but
he's been very good for Lee
I mean,
County.
look at,
Heather helped us, Heather helped us raise some money too
Yeah.
and got all the kids stuff to take with them, because we had kids that we had to go buy stuff for them to take with them that they didn't have. They didn't even have
suitcases.
the right clothes. They didn't have a suitcase. They didn't have, so
Yep. And those are
it's
the
a big
stories
deal.
we're sharing. Right. And I think we could probably get there. I don't know about next year, but maybe a 2-day event. I think, and we almost have a 2-day event at nationals with the night before, with
Right.
scrimmage, because we really want to see the teams the night before, get them through safety, have the big pizza party, and try to get every team comfortable with each other and talking and communicating. And again, for me, those competition days are more about the culmination of a celebration than it is the competition itself, even though it is a very knockdown, drag out competition. These kids are fighting for those trophies, and that's exactly by design. But for me, it's to see the spirit of collaboration, the learning that has transpired over the last 2 to 3 months. That's the reward for us, right? What our initiative is about education, right? And so, yeah, we'll we'll uh we'll bring in our regional coordinators after the season, and we'll have those discussions and see what they think. So, Mr. Kamal, any questions over there? No.
I think I learned a lot of things today, and I think right now I don't have like that much of a. I think like one of my questions would be like uh there are like as a judge, do you have like certain sets of questions that you'd like to ask?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, any one of us can provide you just some icebreaker questions. And like what Heather was mentioning, if you look at the rubric and you look at, uh, how did you decide on your engineering of your chassis, or what wheels did you choose for this type of competition? And that's by design too for RDL, is there's some specific challenges in there that require engineering design. It's not cookie cutter. We want these kids thinking outside the box, right? And that's where the whole crater came from, is how am I going to get a robot up into that obstacle to pull out the the game elements? And we're already getting a lot of teams that are saying, hey, the RoboMasters don't work in there. What do we do? Well, that's where you got to start thinking outside the box, and you got to come up and be creative. Now it's time to develop a robot. Yeah, we understand that a lot of entry level teams go for those kit robots that you just buy and you put them together and you go off to competition and have fun. Now the real engineering design challenge is going to come when it won't work. How are you going to fix it? How are you going to get it to work? That's the innovation that we're looking for. So good
That's one of my
question.
favorite questions. I always ask them is what modifications did you make to your robot to meet the mission specifically? And they'll jump in, that's when they start to get really animated. Usually they want to jump in and talk about, well, this didn't work or that didn't work. And so we had to do this, or we tried this and this thing. So you see a progression. You also see who kind of worked on the different parts and pieces too, because they'll start to talk about it. And the ones that are typically more animated are the ones that have had more input on those particular parts and pieces, which I think is so neat about competitions like this one, is there is so much to do that you may have team members who specialized in certain parts of the competition to meet that one or two things. I think that to me is pretty amazing, because you can pull a lot of kids in on this one that, some competitions, it's you have a specific number of people on the team, but in this one, you have larger teams, and people have more defined roles, and it's just a fun one. So
It's good, and just talking with the other judges too, just kind of feeding off each other. You usually we put you in pairs, so that you're not alone. But so you'll have somebody with you, and we appreciate you being there, Kamal. Really, I
Kamal
do.
just thinks he's going to be a judge. He's not. He's on my spreadsheet as he's going to be an official. He just
Oh,
doesn't
so
know
we're
it
having
yet.
we're having officials training too
Yeah, he's
on
going to do that one too. But we
Thursday
wanted him
night.
to be
Okay,
cross
good,
trained.
good. Yeah, that's there's if you got good knees, that's a great role. uh, as for me and Cindy, we'll be on the scorekeeping and the judging. All right. Well, any other questions?
Yes, and you answered one of them. So we're going to
Hey,
be paired up
Whitney.
the day of, right?
Whitney is from our. Are you guys still furloughed?
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah. I
Trying
hate
to
that
bounce
for you.
around. Yeah, we're doing like weird hours right now, and we
Yeah.
can't do none of our programs at the museum. So we're really, relying heavily on the community to kind of keep some of our, especially our STEM Academy programs going, and the community's really
Right.
rallied behind us, and it's been amazing.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, Whitney is at the Museum of Aviation at Warner Robins Air Force Base in Georgia, and so she is. That's the second largest Air Force museum in the nation, and it's
Yes,
really cool.
yes.
So we're super excited to have Whitney in here, and hopefully we can get past this furlough stuff so we can get back in there. We had to cancel a RDL junior workshop because of the government shutdown, so unfortunately, but we'll be back. We'll get it.
Certainly, certainly. So kind of walk me through like our just kind of like my daily routine. So I'm gonna get there, we're gonna get paired up. So are we gonna go through each team and talk with them, and then just go to the next team, then kind of just be on the field as the teams are playing, and listen out and watch?
Right. So, and you're referencing the RDL competition on November 1st at Peach County High School, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cindy or Heather, do you want to take that? Just from your perspective?
If your role is you're serving as a judge, yes. So you find whoever your head judge is or whoever your volunteer coordinator is there. They'll point you in the right direction, and get you all sorted out. I would definitely, before you get there, look through the manual, be familiar with those rubrics. They should have paper rubrics for you to complete while they're there, so you shouldn't have to bring anything that way. Then they'll let you know how they're going to do it. Like I said, we're going to do it just a little bit differently at UVLY's, hopefully, but they'll let you know when you get there. Usually that's how kind of I try to gather all the judges up at one point and put them where they're going to be, or tell them where they're going to be. If you're going from table to table, look for their placards. Each team will have a placard that will have their team number, name. So that's a really good thing they've done the last few years to kind of help us, because some of them will be very branded, and some of them will just show up and they're all, it's just a bunch of parts and pieces. It doesn't look like a whole lot together, but some of them will come in all decked out in their team gear, and you'll know exactly who you're talking to. Others, you may take a little bit to figure out, but look for that team placard. And then just making sure that, if you're with a partner, I would say go with your partner. Some people like to do it individually, but I think it goes much quicker if you kind of go through and talk to them together. And then be sure that when you're there and have now enough time for you and all the judges to confer, so that you can figure out who wins the awards. That's usually when the talking and having to kind of confer. They'll crunch the numbers, but it rarely comes down to just straight numbers. There's usually very close competition in all of those categories, and trying to figure out who's going to be, the judge's award, who's going to be the professor's award. All those, some of those have a lot of need for conversation about those awards before those are decided. And that's probably a high level there. I don't know specifically about Peach, if they have any different plans.
I will get with Julie and confer on that.
Yeah.
What I'm really thinking too is, how you said some of the numbers could be really close. I think it's going to be really important to make those extra remarks and notice other things. Would that help place teams? I'm assuming if we have teams that are really neck and neck on points.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And make some notes as you go through, because you're going to talk to so many kids, and there's so many awesome things you're going to see. I always try to make some note in my notes something that stood out to me about that team. Whether it's the people or it's a question they answered, or maybe the design is different or something that stood out to me, because that way when it comes down to it and someone says, oh, is that the team that, and you've already got a few notes to be sure that you remember, and you're not going to have to go back out and ask additional questions or investigate those further.
Okay, thank you much.
All right. Anything else? Going once? Mr. Long, you good?
Thank you. Thanks for letting me join.
Hey, you're welcome.
thank
It's
you.
good to see you.
And
Yeah,
we thank you
absolutely.
so much.
I owe you a cheeseburger next time I see you. So,
Okay.
all right. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead. Cindy and I got to go to another meeting, fun stuff. But thank y'all. We
We're going to
appreciate
Harbor
you.
Freight.
Ah,
I need
Hey,
hey,
magnets.
robotics
go
just
there.
left, actually. They just
Bye,
signed
y'all.
out for the evening. Bye, y'all.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.